You're listening to Curious Cat, the podcast that examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. I hope I'm not the first one to wish you a great 2026, but I hope you and yours have a year full of joy, abundance, and health. This week is a surprise, even for me. I ended last year with what felt like the most important episode of 2025. I hope you felt the same. Ona Christie Martin had such clear and positive insight into this upcoming year. She cleared away the noise, didn't she? Be the rider, not the horse this year. I also love her art, the channeled inspiration behind every piece she does, and hope you took time to check out her website. She is a true gem. Her boldness to follow spirit, even when it meant leaving behind a life that she thought she loved but didn't fit anymore. That is an act of courage and faith. Because it was the final episode of December, the angels spoke up to tell me, "Hey Jen, we are owed another week." Well, during morning minutes, they gave me a new name, new for me at least, Sariel or Suriel, depending on the writer, and they told me to research the angels of the book of Revelation. I can't wait to share the information with you. Let's get into it. First, an overview of the book of Revelation. If you're unfamiliar with it, except for maybe some of the wide brush tropes, like the four horses of the apocalypse, or broken seals, or Archangel Michael slaying a dragon, here's a bit more meat on the bone. From Bible Project, the book of Revelation is the only prophetic book in the Bible. That means it hasn't happened yet, but they say it will. Authored by John of the Gospel. And there's a bit of debate about which John this is, but they wrote this as a letter that opens and closes like a circular letter, which is interesting. I never heard that in my life before, but specifically it was written and meant for the eyes and ears of church leaders at the time to shake them up, leaders of the 7 churches of Asia Minor specifically, and cause them to maybe be inspired to do more and better. Bible Project writes this: these texts use symbolic imagery and numbers not to confuse, but to communicate. Almost all the imagery is drawn from the Old Testament, and John expects his readers to interpret by looking up those texts to which he alludes, end quote. Through symbols and numbers 7 specifically, it seems to tell the story of a final battle between good and evil, which ends in a culling of humanity down to a minuscule 144,000 survivors after earthquakes and fires rage the planet. But is the book of Revelation literal? Bible Project writes this, quote, John did not write this book as a secret code for deciphering the timetable of Jesus' return. It is a symbolic vision that brought challenge and hope to the 7 first-century churches and every generation since. It reveals history's patterns and God's promise, showing how every human kingdom eventually becomes Babylon and must be resisted. But the Messiah, Jesus, who loved and lived and died for our world, will not let Babylon go unchecked. He will return one day to remove evil from his good world and make all things new. This promise should motivate faithfulness in every generation of God's people until the King finally returns. End quote. Okay, I was seeking more and I found it with Cliff Notes. The book of Revelation often Revelation has been regarded as a mysterious book, quite beyond the comprehension of the average lay reader. Okay, amen to that, because I have read it multiple times, and often it comes across as, what the heck is this? But I'll go back to Cliff Notes' insights about the text. Its many references to angelic beings, its elaborate description of Christ as he appears in the heavenly courts, its use of mystic numbers as like 3, 7, 12, and their multiples, the accounts of strange beasts, symbolic names, and definite time periods all suggest some hidden and esoteric meaning that supposedly can be detected only by an expert. For these reasons, many people have ignored the book, feeling that any attempt to understand it is futile. Other people have taken an opposite attitude and have found in this book what they believe to be predictions of a whole series of events, many of which have already occurred, and the remainder of which are about to take place in the near future. The basis for these views, many of which sound strange and fantastic, is found in the elaborate symbolism used in the book. The use of symbols has an important place in religious literature, for there is no other way in which a person can talk or even think about that which is beyond the realm of finite human experience. But there's always a danger that the symbols may be interpreted in a way that was not intended by the author who used them initially. Only in regard to the content in which the symbols are used can we determine what the author meant. End quote. Let's turn to the angels in the book of Revelation. Here's some basic information on their role in this prophetic book from Cliff Notes. Quote, as John sees the end drawing near, he describes the angels of heaven crying with a loud voice. 3 angels appear, the first one announcing that the hour of God's judgment has come, the second one crying out that Babylon, which is used as the symbol of Rome at the time, is fallen, and the third one describing the terrible fate of those who worship the beast or its image. As a final punishment, these false worshippers are thrown into a lake of fire where they will forever be destroyed. 7 more angels then appear, each one carrying a bowl, the content of which symbolizes the wrath of God about to be poured out in the form of the last 7 plagues. The plagues will inflict the wicked of John's day, just as a series of plagues inflicted the ancient Egyptians prior to the time when the Israelites were delivered from their bondage. When the first angel pours out his bowl upon the earth, foul and evil sores grow on the men who bear the mark of the beast, who worship its image. When the second angel pours out his bowl on the sea turns to blood and everything living in it dies. Catastrophes of a similar nature follow when the remaining angels empty their bowls. The angels, okay, this is me again, not Cliff Notes, in their estimation seem to be pushing over the dominoes, right? I think of angels as messengers often and keeping people out of harm's way. I just was seeking more and found it from the book of Revelation made clear, who writes this. The 3 angels in chapter 14, 6 through 13. We are presented with 3 angels who have 3 announcements to make. They are carrying 3 important declarations from God. The first angel is proclaiming the eternal gospel to the whole earth. Everyone has been given the opportunity to hear the gospel and to respond to its message. In the proclamation of the gospel, the angel says with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come." The gospel is good news to those who receive it and obey it. However, the gospel is bad news to those who reject it. Fear God because God is ready to judge. Worship God, not the beast. Okay, that second angel, he proclaims, fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. As we noted in the study of Revelation 13, apparently they did that earlier in their blog, which I've linked to in the show notes. Babylon is the first of 4 great beasts depicted in Daniel 7. Babylon was the world power in the days of the prophet Daniel. The name Babylon came to represent the wicked world power of the day. Peter used the name Babylon this way as he closed his first letter. She who is at Babylon, who is likewise Christ chosen, sends you greetings, and so does Mark, my son. That's from 1 Peter 5:13 ESV. Peter is given his greetings from Rome since there was not a literal Babylon for Christians to be living in. Rome was the new Babylon because it was the world power of that day. This fits the context of Revelation. Chapter 13 has been all about this terrifying beast that is persecuting God's people. This predicted the Roman Empire's persecution of the Christians. Chapter 14 is not describing the fall of some other nation. It would not fit the context. Babylon is Rome, and the Roman Empire is declared to be fallen. However, when the angel makes this proclamation, and when the book of Revelation is written, the Roman Empire had not yet fallen. So prophetic, right? So what is happening in this proclamation? This is something that is called prophetic certainty. An event is prophesied as having already occurred, not because it's happened yet, but because God has decreed that it will be so. Therefore, the event must happen. Isaiah did the same things in his prophecy, and they remind us of that if we don't know the Bible. And behold, here come riders, horsemen in pairs. And he answered, Fallen, fallen is Babylon, and all the carved images of her gods he has shattered to the ground. That from Isaiah 21:9. When Isaiah said these words, Babylon had not yet fallen. God had decreed that the world power would fall, and so Isaiah could confidently describe its end, even though its fall was still in the future. The second angel is doing the same thing. The fall of the Roman Empire is pictured as certain, even though it had not occurred yet. The third angel makes this proclamation. Anyone who worships the beast will drink the wine of God's wrath. This is a vivid picture that God used at many times through his prophets. As many know, the people typically drank their wine mixed with water. Drinking water was a problem then because the water wasn't clean and would cause illness. So the people would drink wine and the wine would be diluted with water, typically 2 or 3 parts water to 1 part wine. I didn't know that till now. Notice that this angel says that they are going to drink the wine full strength. The wine is pictured as the wrath of God. They will drink of God's wrath undiluted, basically. God's judgment is not going to be watered down. They will receive the full brunt of God's anger for their sins. The judgment will be so great that it is parallel to the judgment against Sodom and Gomorrah. They are tormented with fire and sulfur, the same tools God used to wipe out the wicked cities of the plains for their sins. However, the picture is not a picture of a physical destruction. Notice that the angel pictures eternal punishment for those who worship the beast, those who are given their allegiance to the emperors and worshiping them as divine will be tormented forever and ever and have no rest day or night. This is the same kind of language that Jesus used to describe the eternal punishment on those who reject him. Therefore, another call for endurance is made. Keep the commandments of God and keep your faith in Jesus. The worshippers of emperors will be judged. The condemnation is already set up. Do not give in to the temptation to worship them. Remain faithful to Jesus. Remain faithful even to death. Notice verse 13 reminds the readers again that they are going to die for this strong faith in Jesus. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord. They are blessed for their faithfulness while the beast makes war on the people of war. Okay, that felt a bit fire and brimstone to my ears. With angels as part of my daily life, I wanted to find out more about their, softer side, their more empathetic toward humanity kind of role in Revelations. Thanks to inspired author and blogger Grant Edward, I found the following. Angels, he writes, are real. I've had at least 2 encounters in my life that can only be explained as angelic visitations. Most of you have had similar encounters. I haven't done an exhaustive study, so this is Pastor Grant's non-exhaustive study conclusion. More can be learned about angels in the book of Revelation than in any other book in the Bible. They worship, restrain judgment, then bring judgment, battle evil, preach the gospel, and encourage the saints. The book of Revelation has several scenes where there are millions or even billions of angels worshiping God. You would expect billions, if not trillions, as angels help work out God's will in the universe, not just on earth. And the universe is a big place. My favorite angelic scene is the 4 living creatures of Revelation 4. While technically called seraphim, they are described as high-ranking angels in Isaiah 6. Their vocabulary is described as proclaiming, "Holy, holy, holy," day and night before the throne of God. The seraphim in Revelation 4, described as having 6 wings encased with eyes, represent the all-knowing nature of God and perhaps the origin of centuries of artwork depicting angels with wings. Angels are not cuddly cherubs playing harps on clouds. Okay, my listeners definitely know that. They reap the harvest of both the righteous and the wicked at the end of history. Angels are not the legendary grim reapers, but do play a part in God's judgment as powerful emissaries of God's grace, mercy, and judgment. And another angel came out of the temple, crying out with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, because the harvest of the earth is ripe." That's from Revelation 14. Angels, he notes, are not worshipped. In Revelation 19, John falls at the feet of an angel who quickly tells him, "Do not do that. I am a fellow servant of yours and of the brethren who hold the testimony of Jesus." That from Revelation 19:10. All of history concludes with this scene of the New Jerusalem. It had a great and high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels. That from Revelation 21:12. The 12 gates each have the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 gates with a name and an angel. I believe those 12 angels were created for ministry and were assigned to the 12 tribes of Israel. Their role concludes in eternity by standing at the gate named for each tribe. The book of Revelation begins with 7 letters to 7 churches. Each letter begins, "To the angel of the church of Ephesus." They continue with the same phrase to the other 6 churches. Does my city, he asked, have an angel? Do I have a guardian angel? Probably. Angels described in Hebrews 1:14 are sent as ministers to the saints on earth. Their role and ministry from a heavenly, eternal perspective are aptly described in the book of Revelation. Angels act as agents of God's purpose. They fight, they bless, they help, and you don't want to mess with them. The book of Revelation describes a time of judgment at the end when all the angels will observe your reward for obedience or disobedience. Reading about angels in the book of Revelation, I am glad that we are on the same team with a similar purpose to give glory to God for all eternity. I've linked you to his blog in the show notes. Please follow it to find his daily inspiration. This exploration of the angels in Revelation had me coming upon a list over and over of the named angels. Here were the most common: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Raguel, Phanuel, and Sariel or Sariel. You've heard of most of them, right? Me too. But I want to, in the future, and I'm footnoting it, learn more about Raguel in the days to come, as well as Phanuel. But the one that stood out in yellow highlighter to me was Sariel or Sariel or Sarakiel. Here's what I have come to learn about this angelic ally. An overview I found from Elena Cooper really wraps it up. It comes from her Medium post, and she writes this, quote, "Sariel, a name that resonates with mystery and celestial power, is an archangel revered in various religious traditions, particularly Judaism and Islam. This enigmatic figure, often depicted as a guardian and a harbinger of divine knowledge, has captivated the human imagination for centuries. One of Sariel's most prominent roles is that of a celestial scribe. It's believed that he records the deeds of humanity, meticulously noting every action, thought, and intention. This role underscores Sariel's association with divine justice and accountability. As a scribe of cosmic proportions, he ensures that no transgression goes unnoticed and no virtue unrewarded. Beyond his role as a recorder of human actions, Sariel is also credited with possessing profound knowledge of the celestial realm. He is said to have insights into the movements of heavenly bodies, particularly the moon. This astronomical knowledge led to his association with time, seasons, and the cyclical nature of existence. In some traditions, Sariel is linked to the concept of death and the afterlife. This connection may stem from his role as a recorder of human actions, as the ultimate judgment of one's life is often associated with the transition to the next realm. However, it is important to note that this interpretation is, and she has a ... meaning I think she's not sure about that interpretation. She goes on to write this: despite his powerful and often solemn associations, Sariel is also seen as a guardian angel, protecting humanity from harm and guiding individuals on this spiritual path. This protective role highlights his compassionate nature and his desire to assist those in need. Sariel's multifaceted nature, encompassing both judgment and compassion, makes him a fascinating figure in religious mythology, whether as a celestial scribe, a guardian angel, or a harbinger of death. Sariel's influence on human thought and spirituality is undeniable. As we continue to explore the depths of religious tradition, Sariel's enigmatic presence reminds us of the intricate balance between divine justice and mercy. Again, that comes from Elena Cooper on Medium. If you'd like to support her work, click on the link I provided in the show notes, or just check out and sign up for her writing. I found more as I researched alternative spellings, including that Suriel. He is named in the book of Enoch, and some say he's a fallen angel that was forgiven by God, who then became who many know as Suriel, the angel I associate with the earth in the northern direction on the compass. Suriel governs the zodiac sign Aries specifically. He teaches the course of the moon, which we talked about with Elena Cooper, and that information was once regarded as forbidden knowledge for human beings, thus that ousting by God. In the recently discovered Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the books, The War of the Sons of Light Against the Sons of Darkness, speaks of the angel Sariel as a name that appears on the shields of the third tower. The term tower having the meaning of a fighting unit. Think of like an army, group of army fighters. There were 4 towers in all. OSHAIFA.com had more on this. He is the vigilant and observer of all acts of justice and injustice that are carried out on earth. All this with the purpose of bearing witness to respect before God, custodian of the fulfillment of moral laws, vigilant of sinners so that they do not escape the justice of God. To this end, the archangel Sariel in the book of Enoch, chapter 21 and 6, is recognized as, quote, in charge of the spirits of men who sin. In the same writing, Sariel is mentioned as, quote, one of the holy guardian angels. In fact, in the company of Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, he witnessed before God all the injustice that was committed on earth by the fallen angels who were intimate with human beings, and as a result had conceived offspring of giants known as Nephilim. All of them marked the earth with their evils, their exploitation, and violence. They go on, quote, he is an angel full of virtues of wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, who also has healing gifts like Raphael. In Islamic culture, where he is known as Azrael, he is considered the angel of death, where also he is credited with having been the only archangel who complied to bring God the dust God requested to throw onto the 4 corners of the world, which thus created Adam. For that reason, God blessed him with the virtue of power to separate the soul or spirit from the bodies of man at the time of death. It is said he lives in the third heaven. His name translates as commandments of God. Some say the Talmud identifies him as Metatron. Sariel's color is white, a symbol of purity and his high celestial level that keeps him close to God. It is also possible to make requests with violet flames to transmute negativity or evil, since that color vibrates in tune with the transformation and ultimate release of negativity. Okay, wow, that's why I want to dye my hair violet right now, isn't it? And one final bit of detail from sculpturenetwork.org, who writes this: Sariel is said to be one of the holy angels who watch over other spirits and who, quote, look upon the bloodshed on earth, end quote. She is considered to be the holy archangel, also known as the angel of punishment and death, and believed to be tasked with punishing both mortals and angels who violate God's commandments. A warrior angel, she is both holy and fallen, believed to be a kind angel of death and an angel of healing, bringing both hope and comfort, retribution and protection, end quote. I hope you enjoyed this foray into the angels. As of this recording, we are the number 2 podcast in the world about angels. Wow. I love that people are seeking to learn about angels, and angels are standing ready to help us every day, all day, in every aspect. And remember, you can say, hey, I know there's an angel that can help with this. So can you come in and help me get this parking spot so I can help my mom get groceries, or fill in the blank to what your need is? They are there for you. They just need to hear your request because you have free will. When they crave that angel knowledge, I just love that people are turning to Curious Cat. I'm so grateful. Until next week, stay curious. I love you.